Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review today. I'm here to tell you all about the debut record from Raider, Guardian of the Fire, out March 20th as a self-release. The album has 8 tracks, 48 minutes in length, and this is a Canadian thrash death metal band from the Waterloo, Kitchener area, which is very close to Toronto where I live. I didn't know anything about this band, but they reached out to me and asked me if I would review this record. And being a local band, and I like to support local bands, I like to support the local metal scene, immediately I said yes, I would check it out. But I went in with absolutely zero expectations. I had never heard of the band before, I didn't know what to expect, and I really didn't want to create a false sense of what I was going to get myself into based on the genre that the band has, based on the sound that they play. So I really want to go in with a clear mind, with a clear view, and just let the music speak for itself. But having said that, like I said, I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. The moment I started playing the record, immediately I was blown away by the quality of the album. I had to double check with them that this was their debut record, because this does not sound like a debut record. This really sounds like a record of a band who's been around for a long time, because it has a very professional and adult approach to it. I was really surprised with the production values on the record, really good. The way the music is put together, the way the songs are put together, the way the structure of the album is put together, everything about this record is very professional, very mature, very well done, very well executed. Not something I was expecting from a local band releasing their debut album. So I was extremely surprised, I was extremely blown away by the overall quality of the record. And as far as quality is concerned, I really have to start off with the structure of the album, because to me that is the spinal cord of the album, and then everything just flows from that point on. And the structure of the album is one that's very linear, very concise, very compact. This is not an album that peaks and then it dips in the middle and then it peaks again towards the end. This is an album that it gives you consistency from the first song to the last song. Very driven, very fast, very aggressive, but always going in one single direction and going fast. So that is something that I really appreciate about this record, because they didn't try to do anything fancy. They didn't try to throw you a curveball. They said, this is who we are, this is our sound, this is how we play, and this is what you're going to get from the first all the way to the last song. And I really like that, because it gave me a sense of comfort. After the first, second track, I already kind of had an expectation what I was going to get myself into, and they were able to change some dynamics from track to track without changing anything drastic, without changing the overall feel, the overall aroma of the record. And to me that's really important. I mean, you can change how solos are put together, or how individual song structures are put together, or a little bit of the style and vocals, but you can't really change the overall feel of the record on a track by track basis. Otherwise it's not connected, and this album is extremely well connected, really having a thin red line all the way through from the beginning to the end. You just feel like a song breeds another song, and that song then breeds the song that comes after. There's really a sense of continuity with this record. As far as the sound is concerned, this is definitely a thrash metal album. You can feel the death metal elements, but when you look at the sound, when you look at the way the album is put together, you feel like the spinal cord of this record is really thrash metal. And then they use death metal elements in order to elevate the sound, to create more volume, more texture, more presence on the tracks. I really like this approach. I really like the fact that they're not a band that's just going to mix in these two genres in order to create songs that perhaps would feel very unbalanced. So they did a really good job understanding exactly how they wanted the song to sound, to have that thrash metal spinal cord, and then how can we include some death metal elements into it in order to give the song a little bit more presence, to make the song a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more intense. And they did it extremely well. They did it almost in a seamless way, that you're listening to this album and the death metal elements within the record almost go unnoticed. But if you're paying attention to how robust the songs are, you can really feel the layers that are there within each and every single song on the record. On the vocal side of things, I really liked what they did as well, because here's a band that has a very specific style as far as vocals are concerned. Really raspy, really aggressive, really intensive, a little bit of harsh vocals, a little bit of screaming vocals at a few key points. But to me, the most important aspect of the vocals is how they change the delivery depending on what the song called for. And once again, a very mature approach. They knew exactly the dynamic that the song had at any specific point, and then they adapt the vocals to fit that momentum of the song, to fit that specific spot in the song that you needed perhaps a little bit more darkness, or you needed a little bit more aggression, or you needed a little bit more intensity or melancholy, depending on what the song called for and what the lyrics represented. They knew exactly when to change the delivery, when to go a little bit more from thrash metal to death metal, because the influences from death metal are not just in the sound, they're also present in the vocals. But to me, on the vocal side of things, you can really feel how mature the band is by knowing exactly what to do with the style, what to do with the changes in order to give the song more fluidity, but also in order to give the song a lot more presence. And to me, that's really important, because a lot of these songs would fall flat if you don't know exactly when to change the vocal dynamics and the vocal approach, because that gives a different emphasis to the song, and in my opinion is very important on an album that is this concise, that has this much of a singularity, if you will. Now, from a sound perspective, I also like what they did with the guitars and drums. I really like the mix and matching of these two elements is really important. The drums on this album overall are very robust. They're very strong. They have a very driven force, but they're there in parallel with the guitars, because the guitars have a little bit of a raw feel to it, but at the same time they have a lot of volume and a lot of thickness to it. So those two elements work extremely well in order to know exactly on each and every single track when one needs to be the driver of the song and when the other needs to be the driver of the song. They almost alternate momentums within the tracks and then throughout the record, and I really like that. And I really like what they did with the solos, understanding that a song that has fast tempos not necessarily needs to have a fast solo, that you could slow things down and change the momentum, change the eyesight, if you will, of the song by changing the dynamics within the track without really breaking the track apart. So all of these elements are really interesting and really speak to me of a band that really knew what they wanted out of each and every single song, and they knew the best way to get the best elements out of the band put together in order to create a very robust, overall, very impressive record. The album is really magnificent. If you're a fan of thrash metal, you really need to consider checking out this album, checking out this band. The death metal influences, in my opinion, really elevate the sound. It really gives them more presence. It gives them a little bit more, something more to chew, something more to digest on this record. But it's definitely a thrash metal album, in my opinion, from the beginning to end. It just has great driving riffs, really powerful guitar riffs, and amazing vocals. The vocals really emphasize and really enhance the overall sound that the album has. As far as songs are concerned, I want to start off with No Sign of the Dawn. Really great thrash riff on this song. It really builds up to this massive wall of sound, specifically when the drums come in, because when the drums match in or blend in with the guitars, you really feel like there's this growth in sound, and to me it's really important for this track. The verses really allow the track to be heavy but not aggressive. I really feel the chorus switches things around, and then the chorus, you feel the song changes from intensity into aggression, and I really like that dynamic that the song has between the verses and the chorus. Is really important in order to give the song a forward dynamic. There's also this gradually building up to something within the chorus itself. The chorus really feels like it's growing on you as it progresses, and that kind of gives you a microcosms of how this whole song is put together, the whole overall structure that the song has. The solos really bring a lot of melody and darkness. Here's a perfect example of guitar solos on a track that has great tempos, that has really great riffs, and they didn't go with an over-the-top solo. They went with something a little bit more melodic, a little bit more dark, to really change the eyesight of the song, to really change the dynamics of the song, but to me, still allowing the song to be continuous, to have great fluidity, and to overall be an absolute juggernaut of a track. Next, Endless Vengeance, one of my favorite tracks on the album. I cannot get enough of this song, and I think one of the reasons for it is the simplicity of the lyrics in the chorus and how hooky and how catchy it is. But this song has a great riff as well, really dynamic, really thick, really powerful. The drum track is equally important on this song in order to give the track an overall feel of power, absolutely demolishing. This song just really feels demolishing on all fronts, sound and vocals, and I really like that. Like I said, the chorus perhaps is the key component of this track, at least to me, was the thing that immediately attracted me to this song. I just feel like the overall elements that this track has, the catchiness, the hookiness of the chorus, how it sounds, the forward momentum that the song has, both from guitars and drums, this is the musical equivalent of a circle pit. That is how it played out in my mind when I was listening to it. Just a great song, a great dynamic song, a song that never really lets go. It's really dynamic from the beginning all the way to the end. Last, Infernal Justice. This one had a really cool element, something that you're not going to get too much of it throughout the album, and that is a little bit of a bass line as the song opens is really predominant, because this is a really heavy album, so the bass is kind of hidden within that heaviness. There's not a lot of songs, besides this one, I don't think there's any other song on this album that really gives the bass a little bit of predominance. And this one it does at the beginning, and I really like what it does because it gives the track a little bit of darkness before it becomes a lot heavier, a lot more driven, a lot faster, a lot more aggressive, because it is all of those things. The vocals really add volume, in my opinion, to this song. It's a song where the vocals really know when to change. I spoke earlier about changing the styles and vocals in order to give the song the nuance that it needs, in order to give the lyrics the nuance that it needs. This song is a perfect example of that. They know exactly when to go from that more raspy approach to a lot more darker style vocals. It works extremely well because it really enhances the highs and the lows that the track has built into it, and becomes a more powerful song overall from a sound and a vocal perspective. An absolutely magnificent track all around. Alright guys, this is it. This is Raider, Guardian of the Fire, once again out March 20th. If you're a friend of thrash metal, go check out these guys. You're not going to be disappointed. What a great find. What a great local band here from the Toronto area, Waterloo, Kitchener. Go check out these guys, alright? Take care.